Welcome to the All Outdoors Photography Podcast with your hosts Henry Doyle and Ryan Taylor, where we discuss all things related to outdoor and nature photography.
In today's episode, Henry and Ryan discuss our favorite birding adventures.
Welcome back to episode 27 of the All Outdoors Photography Podcast. And today we're talking about some very feathery creatures.
I'm sorry. You always come with the best things, Henry, to say. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So today we're talking about birds and bird photography specifically. And basically, me and Henry are just going to trade off telling probably our favorite stories out in the field, photographing birds. So it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I think we can both agree that chasing birds just brings you on the most crazy adventures and really strange things can happen. So that's what we're going to be sharing today.
Yeah. Or just really kind of cool moments, serendipitous moments, I think, for a lot of us. Yeah. So, and it's a big part of what we do with outdoor photography, which is great.
Yeah. So let's get right into it. Ryan, what's your first story?
Sure. Yeah. So, first species is the great horned owl. This is my first encounter with a wild one. I've seen them previously at raptor centers. And so let's flashback to April 2019. I went to a local fen. Actually, let me rewind a little bit. So I was at a metro park a week before, and they were doing landscape photography and all that sort, and photographing spring wildflowers. And I was kind of just viewing the sunset at this place, and this guy next to me just walked right past me, a passerby will say, and he said, "Hey man, I heard down the road at this local fen, which is a type of wetland, he's like, there's those great horned owls that nest there all the time. And he's like, you might be able to still catch them, even though it's pretty late in their kind of nesting season in April." And I was like, okay. So, fast forward to a week later, I kind of went out there to the local fen, just kind of searching out for them. I went probably I think it was 2 hours right before dark, just prepared. I was just I set out, had kind of mastered their calls and all the different sounds they could make potentially. I didn't really know what the nest site was, so I kind of just pre-scouted it initially, trying to search for it. And this little local fen, it's really not it has a little bit of boardwalk and a loop trail around the entire wetland, but it's not really a big place at all. So I just had enough ground to cover that I could do it easily in that short span of time. So I just was searching around. It was really hot, really, really hot sunny day for at least April. And like I said, it was late in their kind of nesting season, so I really wasn't sure what to expect. But yeah, I just kind of kept looking around and stuff, and I was looking, because they nest really high up in the trees, up to 80 feet, the tallest trees, and the big old nest that they construct. And it happened to be right before dark. I just almost about gave up. This kind of sounds like a cliche story, but I went back to my car. And I'm just about ready to be done. I'm just all right, I have 45 minutes left until sunset. And I'm I already did my loop around once or twice, and went back to my car, and I'm kind of just sitting there thinking, what should I do? Should I leave? Should I go out one more time? And I'm all right, I should just do it. I'm going to go out one more time and see if I can find it. And literally within 5 minutes, hitting the trail again, I just see this giant winged creature flying straight to these thicket of trees or whatever. And I'm there's no way that was just a little songbird or anything. And it had the cigar shaped design, if you will, of the bird, of a lot of owls, with that facial disc and the kind of flatter face. And I'm that thing huge from what I could tell. And it's getting pretty dark at this point, but there's still enough backlighting kind of illuminating the trees and everything. So I had my tripod with me this time, and I had my telephoto mounted on there and everything. And I just point it straight up. And like I said, it's about 80 feet high up in the trees. But the 600 millimeter lens I had on worked out pretty well, I think, overall. And I just saw this, looked like an adult, I think it was a male probably because it's hunting, great horned owl, just looking straight at me. It was it was in those scary moments, your heart kind of sinks.
Yeah. Terrifying when an owl looks at you.
They have especially great horn, because they have that yellow, those ringed eyes, and it was just the most intense eye contact. And I'm the first time I laid eyes in the wild of this bird, it's already staring me down from that far away. It already heard me or saw me or whatever, probably heard me. And it was just the most
sensed you.
Yeah. It was pretty surreal to be looking through that viewfinder, shaking. I was honestly shaking because I was just so excited, and adrenaline. And I was just saw him just staring right at me, and he had something in his talons. It looked like some kind of small rodent, like a vole or something, some kind of small mammal that it caught. And it was just looking straight at me. And the photo I took a handful of photos, of course, a lot. But my favorite one, the best one in focus, which I put in the slideshow, at least on our video here, is my favorite, just because it has that intense eye contact and the light, the landscape around it's illuminated pretty well. And yeah,
Yeah, it's got like a nice golden light on it.
yeah, you can tell it's taken near dark. And then I stuck around there until well after dark because I'm just like, this is so cool. I tried out some flash and everything, external flash with a better beamer. It didn't really work out too well. It was just too far away simply. But I did actually catch some other shots as well of the little owlet, as they'll call it, like a little younger owl, I guess. But at this stage, in spring, it was already grown up pretty close to being full, at least older, not full adult, but you could tell it was definitely a younger great horned owl. And it had this weird kind of whinny call to it. It's like, I don't know. Yeah, but it was just a really surreal moment to see this pair of them and the owlet just hanging out in this fen. It was for first encounter with this species out in the wild. It was really cool, and to get a shot, is always icing on the cake.
It seems like based on the photo you put in, that it was like a pretty like overgrown area too. So you're lucky you like got a window through to him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It took a lot of shuffling. Kind of. Luckily, the trail it's not too constrained, but I just kind of shifted left and right. Pivoted, I guess. And yeah, fortunately, I didn't have to move too much. He was already kind of lined up, as in the shot you saw, where it just kind of worked out. And it can be hard to tell, but he does have something in his talons. But yeah, it was just a really intense moment. And actually, if you want to watch my actual reactions, my genuine reactions that day, I do have a video on my YouTube channel for my on location series. It's called Woodman Fen, is where I went to. So you can watch that, of course, and you'll see how I was during that day. And it was an exciting day. So yeah, it's cool.
You said you tried to use a flash. Does that? I've never used one with birds. Does that scare them away or?
Um, well, I would say for smaller ones, don't take what I say as law, but this is just my opinion, I guess. I will say I don't really. This is one like very small instance, just because I knew it'd be darker, so I wanted to kind of bring in more light, of course. Near sunset after dark. But even then, I wouldn't really think it's 100% ethical to use flash, especially on owls and nighttime birds, because it does freak out their eyesight and kind of screw with it a little bit, and it makes them unable to hunt. Smaller songbirds in the past, I don't, like I said, use flash really often anymore, but like in the past when I did try songbirds with external flash, it did kind of freak them out. You could clearly see that they kind of jumped more and seemed more alert, which stressed them out probably. So it's not really something I recommend using, but eh. It's worth a shot. Yeah.
Yeah. I know a lot of like songbird photographers have pretty advanced like flash rigs.
hmm Yeah, yeah, like I said, it's something I really haven't used in probably pretty close to 2 years. My flash is just kind of collecting dust, at least for doing outdoor stuff. Photos. It's not really something I really am drawn to. I guess the light. So I'm really fortunate in this case where I got just enough natural light to actually make the portrait work. Even though you can kind of tell it's pretty noisy, but it still worked out pretty well in my
Hey,
favor.
as long as you get the shot, the noise doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, and it happened to be just enough focus on his eyes and stuff for that intense eye contact. So,
And I'm sure by the time you put it on Instagram or print it, like that noise just disappears.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I've printed a few times. Fairly small though, so nothing beyond like 8 by 10. But yeah, it's a nice little shot. It shows the landscape around him, which I can appreciate as much as I like the big bird portraits. This one's really nice. I think nicely framed, and it's off centered by the rule of thirds and everything.
Yeah.
So, and I've tried this same. I've gone back year. I've actually went back, I think a week or two ago, to the same fen. I've pretty much gone back every year this time of year, to find the same owl. And every year so far, well, 2 years now, I found it again and again. So it's pretty cool. Kind of just kind of expect this to happen.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So like last week you saw
Yeah,
that?
yeah. It was like a week or two ago. I went back to the same fen.
Nice.
I went earlier because remember I said this was in April, which is pretty late.
Uh-huh.
But the past 2 years, I went in January, late January, early February, because that's like prime nesting season. Because these owls in particular nest really early in, like, I guess you could say nesting season for most birds. Because February is pretty early because it's really cold still. But yeah, I went back these past 2 Januaries, and I actually fortunately found them both times. But none of the shots I got were anywhere near close to the experience and the photo like this one was. So I'm really fortunate about this first encounter being so far the best, I guess.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Awesome.
it was a great moment. Definitely a highlight, I think, in my both birding and photography career so far. So it was a really great moment.
Cool.
Yeah. So
All
how about
right.
you?
Well, kind of continuing with the owl trend, I'm going to talk about uh, two consecutive barred owl encounters I had. So I had just gotten my wildlife lens, which is the 600 f11. I was just kind of playing around with it down in the park. It's really just kind of a community park. It's really not known for its wildlife or anything. But I was walking in this kind of like thick forest that's kind of like around the edges of this park. Very dark conditions, like almost like not pitch black, but it was very heavy foliage, so there's barely any light coming through. And there was this barred owl. It was about noon, and it was on the ground right in front of me. And I freaked out because this was literally like my second day with this wildlife lens. I photographed a couple like songbirds, but nothing major. Um, so I scrambled. I got a decent shot that day. Wasn't able to get one on the ground. It actually flew up to a branch. I was able to get a shot, but it was out of focus. This first one, which was fine. I was still learning my lens, and it was very dark, so high ISO. Uh, cameras generally have trouble focusing. But yeah, I was pretty excited, and it just showed me. I don't know. It was kind of like my first really big, like click moment that I could do wildlife photography. And then 2 days later, I went to um, a local bird sanctuary, which is fairly nearby that park location. And I was just walking down the trail. I had this weird feeling just to look up. And there it was again, a barred owl way up in the trees, like super high, probably like 60 feet off the ground. And it was everything came together. I was able to get a good shot of it. It was backlit, so maybe not the best in the world, but I was still able to get a pretty nice exposure. And he just sat there for me for like 10 minutes, just looked me dead in the eyes, like you were talking about, Ryan. Creepiest thing.
They do.
Yeah. I was gonna get closer, get an even closer shot, but then I remember some guy came up and started talking to me about my lens, so the owl flew away. Yeah. But it was weird. 2 days in a row. Well, there was a day in between, but pretty much two consecutive owl shots. So that really got me into wildlife photography.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a good way to go, man. I mean, with birds, yeah, that's
Hmm.
cool. I would tell like I mean, I don't know. I'm too nice for that stuff, but I'd definitely be like in that moment, I'd be like, "Hey, man, can you like go away and not talk to me? I'm a little busy at the moment. At least wait." You know, did the owl fly away at all, or was he just
Yeah,
kind
he
of?
flew away once the guy came.
Ah,
But
man.
luckily, I had gotten, shots that I was happy with. So,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The amount of times I'm like 600 millimeters zoomed in, crouched, laying flat on the ground, and I see this guy walk by. I'm like, no, 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 no. Someone walking by and just flushes the birds or
uh-huh.
whatever. It can be irritating.
Yep, for sure. Or if you see a guy that, it's not even his fault, but maybe he's wearing like a bright red jacket
Oh
and
man.
it's just scaring the birds away as he walks. So,
Or loud children. Yeah.
uh-huh.
That's so
I go,
cool.
I occasionally go on hikes or birding with my parents every once in a while.
Oh, cool.
Not very often, but I remember a couple weeks ago, I went with my dad and he was wearing a bright red jacket. Just scared away everything.
Gee, son, I don't know why we didn't see birds today.
Yeah.
Got reflective stuff on or whatever. Yeah. Bright
Uh,
colors. I feel like everyone has to go
yeah.
through that, even if you're not a photographer, but just birder or birding in general. It's like you kind of have to go through that phase of like, okay, I can wear these bright colors, but it's not going to be as effective. You have to wear that kind of
Mhm.
more neutral colors like earth tones and not necessarily camouflage, but I mean, you can wear street clothes that are just muted colors, I guess, and it works out well.
I'm considering getting a ghillie suit, honestly, for this summer. It could be fun,
Oh, dude, at least the one I have, it's very, very hot. So summer is like it's going to sweat you to death, I think.
Uh,
Maybe spring though. I mean,
yeah.
like spring when it gets to be nice green foliage, at least enough where you can kind of blend in. But Yeah, I'm just warning you. It's like those get so hot. It's terrible. Yeah, it's a sweat magnet.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
they can be fun though. I'm not discouraging you. They're fun. It's fun to play dress up, and it can be reward you with some photos. I
Yeah.
think birds probably just deer and stuff as well, mammals.
Yeah, I know the deer where that like roam near where I live, they're so domesticated that I can be wearing a bright jacket and they won't run away. Like you have to avoid them. They don't want to
Oh
avoid
yeah,
you. So
they'll
yeah.
walk right by you. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
those are the best ones for photos. It's like they're just almost asking for it.
Yeah.
They really just like strut your stuff or just kind of look at you and go, okay, keep feeding or whatever.
Mm.
It's hilarious. Yeah, man, I love this. This is honest. I've known I said this before, but it's one of my favorite shots you've taken. This barred out one. I don't know.
Thank you.
It's just like a solid portrait of one. It's really great. Even lighting, it's like shadowed, but not like underexposed. It's like a nice shadow, diffused light. It's just nice tack, sharp focus, and it's just simple but effective. I think if that's a compliment.
Thanks.
Yeah, it just works. I guess. Yeah, it's a good shot. I really like it.
Yeah, I was surprised with the backlighting that I was able to like recover it enough, but it's
Hmm.
still I
Yeah,
think the light on the leaves actually looks good, like a nice background.
and it's like it almost looks like it could be like at a you said it was a bird sanctuary, right?
Can you repeat that? You cut out.
You said that was at a bird sanctuary that you took that at, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. It almost looks like some kind of I don't know. It doesn't look that deep in woodland just based off like the background. Like there's a lot of like sky and light kind of pulling
Hmm.
through. I guess. Yeah. So it looks like it was kind of out in the
Well,
open.
he was kind of like at the top of the tree. So like, and this was
Oh,
one of
okay.
the tallest trees in the place. Like he was high up, like really high.
Oh, really? Yeah. It looks like
Yeah.
you're really close, like eye level, but I guess it's just like
Yeah, I
perspective.
was way back on the trail. And
Hmm.
I mean, it's a prime, so I'm always at 600. But yeah, I cropped. I think I did like a 1-to-1 crop, so
Yeah, it looks pretty
square.
square. Yeah,
Hmm.
but yeah, really works in this case. Yeah, beautiful bird
Thanks.
though. I love these guys. I've only seen
Yeah,
them a time or two, but
I hope to get a bunch of shots of this guy or his children or whatever this summer. Yeah,
have you named him yet?
not yet. No.
Name his children too while you're at it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great though. Yeah, I love it. Raptors are they're so fun, especially owls. They're so at least for I don't know if you call both of us casual owlers, but like it's just they're so elusive. But like when you see them, it's just like the most exciting thing I think.
Mm.
It's really great.
I'm definitely casual. I would say you're quite the
Oh
more
no,
professional wildlife
no,
photographer. But,
no. Oh, in general, I just meant owls, but yeah. Oh, thank you, appreciate it. But
I mean, you've been doing it for years. I'm very new to this,
I
so.
mean, a couple of years,
Mhm.
I'm still learning. It's always a process, no one's great, truly great. But anyways,
Yeah.
yeah,
All
no,
right.
great
So,
shot. Yeah.
what's your
So
next one here?
good question. Let's dial it back a little bit. Let's go back to I think this is 2018, I believe.
Ooh.
No, 2017. Yeah. Wow.
Whoa.
Time flies. Yeah, it's an oldie but a goldie, as I'll say. So it's a simple backyard portrait of a mourning dove. So yeah, backyard. It was about 4 years ago now, or whatever counting. And this was before I even had before I even had a 150 to 600 millimeter telephoto. I only had a 75 to 300, and so yeah, if that shows you
You
how
shot this with that lens? Jeez.
300
Wow.
millimeters. Yeah, yeah. And
Mm.
so I appreciate it. But yeah, so it was kind of funny. This is back when I was doing lots of backyard bird like photos because I think this was right before or right after I got a car, so I really wasn't driving too far out much, at least yet. And so a lot of my bird shots just happened to be stuff I saw in the backyard, just to build a portfolio of some more common species I'd see out there. In my backyard, it's a very modest sized, like suburban neighborhood one, but it's got three pine trees lined up, which is actually the greenery in the backdrop of this photo I'm looking at. And there's a bird bath and a crabapple tree, decent sized crabapple tree, and then my two bird feeder setups on both sides. So it's a really nice setup. They have plenty of shelter, the birds do, and places to feed and drink and stuff. So and roam around and everything. So it's a pretty nice backyard for what it is. But for this, I think it was like a November morning actually, so it was fairly cold out. Like I said, the greenery behind it was because pine trees aren't deciduous, so they don't lose leaves because they have pine needles, of course. So they kind of keep them throughout the year. Well, they do. But so yeah, this shot, I was just initially it was puffed up, this little mourning dove here, because trying to retain that warmth or whatever. And it looked like it kept closing its eyes and sleeping. And I was like, literally just like kind of knelt over, like crouched over, I guess, just walking up slowly to this little bird on the crabapple branch. And I just kept getting closer and closer until I started laying out flat and started doing like basically like an army crawl style towards this bird. And yeah, just in my regular clothes. It wasn't bright colors like we were saying, but yeah, with that 300 millimeter zoomed all the way out. And I was just slowly getting closer and closer. And this perspective, I mean, I was laying flat on the ground. It was probably about probably 5-10 feet up in this tree. But I was just being really, really quiet. No one else was around, of course, and just getting closer and closer. And with each shot, you could see me getting closer to this bird. The initial one was very far away, and this one's probably about as close as I got. And yeah, eventually it just opened its eyes like you see here, and it would just kind of close them back again. But eventually it flew away just from its own. I don't know. I was staying completely still, but it just flew away. But I had a good probably 25-minute session with this bird, which is really exciting. So probably one of my earliest shots that I'm still really proud of overall, with the framing of it and everything and the pleasant diffused cloudy light that it had that day. But yeah, it's a great shot. So I'm really still proud of it.
Yeah, it really is. I really love the blurred out background. It really works for this. I feel like sometimes photographers like overuse, the like completely blurred out background, but I think you use it perfectly here.
Oh, thank you.
Like you still keep the branch in sharp focus. Well, not sharp focus, but you keep the branch in some focus and then have nice sharp focus on the bird and kind of blur out the trees or the bushes behind it. So really nice.
Yeah, I guess now I'm looking at this image again after all this time. You can see at the, at least you, Henry, can see at the bottom left corner, there's an orange kind of sliver of a leaf, which kind of implies it is November and, changing the seasons. Because this crabapple trees, they get this beautiful, bright, like vibrant pink, usually in mid-April with spring, of course. But yeah, I really like this more earthy kind of colored photo and backdrop. It really worked out in this case with this more muted colored bird that's pretty common around here.
You've inspired me. I think I have a crabapple tree in my backyard. I think once it comes spring, I'll set up a tripod or something and wait for a bird to land. That could be cool.
Yeah, actually, one of my favorite tufted titmouse shots I just got, I think it was it was last spring, was when it was full bloom pink. I actually got a tufted titmouse shot just perched right on it. It was an incredible shot, I think. Just pink, really just kind of offset this white and gray bird. Is really cool. So yeah, take advantage of that week or two of just perfect color on those trees. It's great, or any tree rep for that matter. Yeah,
great shot.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean,
I'm really surprised on that lens too. That's crazy. I mean, it's it's really hard to get close to those birds and fill a frame, but you pulled it off.
I think that shows how, I don't know if you call it naivete, but like just the eagerness in my earlier days of just like, I will be so patient just to get this shot perfect. I mean, I still have it now, of course, but it's it's kind of different. But back then I'm like, all right, this is all I had, because I had a job, of course, at that time, still do, of course, but it's just like, I was like, all I have is this 300 millimeter, and I can, it's a zoom lens, but yeah, the maximum focal would be 300. And I'm like, I can get as close as I can get, but I have to be really quiet and move, make micro movements and be really slow. And yeah, you can reward yourself with a shot like this, maybe. But yeah, I think this is a shot at 5.6, I believe. It's a Canon lens, so yeah, it works out pretty well at dropping out that background out of focus. So
it's awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
Good job.
Yeah, thanks.
And also, with getting close, it probably also helps that doves are a little bit dumb sometimes. They'll let you get fairly close, but yeah, it still takes a lot of sneak up.
I tell people, even like non-birders, I'll tell them it's like doves. I don't want to call them stupid, but they're just kind of like derpy, I guess. They just kind of, I don't know. They get really scared easily, and they're just kind of hilarious, comical. Yeah. So. Yeah, I was really fortunate. This is still one of my favorite shots of this species. I've taken many more since then in my backyard and elsewhere, but this one, after all these years, is still one of my favorites.
Yeah, good job.
Thanks. How about you?
All right.
What's your next one?
So my next one is a group of swans. So I was up in Michigan. I was by a lake, and I wasn't even doing photography. I just happened to have my camera nearby, and this massive group of swans just showed up. I think probably like 12, and they were right up on shore. So I could stand far enough back, and with my lens, I could really fill the frame with some swans. So it was really harsh lighting, which kind of cast shadows on the swan's face. I believe they were kind of like side lit or backlit. I can't exactly remember, but um, I had to deal with some of those conditions. But it was really nice just kind of arranging the swans with like the water texture behind them, arranging like the groups of swans together. It was just really fun. And this was another kind of early days, probably week 2 or 3, with my wildlife lens. Yeah, I swear I haven't had as much luck since, but that first couple weeks was, man, that was bird after bird. It was crazy.
And that's half the fun, and especially it's like when I know for me it's like when I went out those early days, I'm like I have no idea what I just took a picture of, but it's really cool looking to me.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
I'm
you just
still kind of in that stage, but I'm working on it.
oh, it's all good. It takes years, man. It's a process.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
still I tell people all the time. They're like, people that just like know I like birds and stuff. They're like, so much. You like must be an expert. I'm like, no, I'm terrible, man. I know a lot more than the average person, but like I'm nowhere near
yeah,
like pro, I guess. But yeah, man,
yeah. I've recently purchased like a field guide, and
I'm good thinking.
I'm starting to bring binoculars out in the field. So I'm trying to
Yes,
be a little bit more like
it's
bird educated.
yeah, no, that's great, man. Yeah, it's easy to fall in that trap. I think even especially early on using your telephoto as a binoculars, but like having a dedicated pair of them is just great for that quick look at something. Like a
Mm.
lens just can't a camera and lens just can't. I don't know, find it as well. I think
Yeah,
it's not
like
good
if
for it.
if a bird is behind a branch, your lens might try to focus on that branch instead of on the
Exactly.
bird. So
Yeah, yeah.
binoculars, you can just cut through that and just look at the bird.
It's just much easier, I think, to view stuff with the binoculars. Whereas a camera, you
Yep.
have to really fine tune the settings, and it's more about making the image. But like, if you just want to see something, it's like just use binoculars or spotting
Mhm.
scope if it's far away.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, do you know what swansies are by any chance? Or
Shoot. I think I did at the time, but I forget.
'cause I'm trying to
I don't
figure it
think they're
out.
anything like rare. I see them a lot in this area, but I've never seen this large of group. And I probably got a set of 20 different unique images, kind of arranging
Okay.
this ones together.
Yeah.
It was fun. This lake is kind of feeds off a creek, like
Oh,
this
cool.
massive creek, which kind of connects to Lake Michigan, which is, I believe, the second biggest Great Lake. So I bet
Hmm.
those guys came from there,
Oh yeah.
kind of made their way down the creek to the smaller lake.
From what I heard, yeah, Lake St. Mary's is like a birding mecca. Here in I think it's in Ohio, I believe. It's in Ohio, right?
I've never heard of it, but
Oh, okay. Maybe not. I
no,
don't know.
this shot was up in Michigan, but
Oh, is it Michigan? Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Huh.
uh,
Okay. Yeah, it's cool. This reminds me. I mean, like, first off, I love the placement of it. Just the way they always have their heads arranged, and everything. You focus on the middle one. Yeah, it's just like a really cool arrangement and placement. But it reminds me of like my earliest days. Not earliest, but like early on, and I would like go to like zoos because zoos are like a great place. I think to really just kind of hone in and like practice, just wildlife photography in a really controlled setting. So it's easy to kind of get to know the behaviors of them, different bird species or whatever you're photographing, and just to compose the photographs. It's really cool. So this reminds me of a trumpeter swan. I guess is what I'm saying. I took a shot of one. I think it was at Columbus Zoo about 4 years ago, and it kind of reminds me of that too. Just the
cool.
elongated head and everything. Yeah, so it's really cool.
Mhm.
It's a really cool shot.
Yeah. This summer I hope to do a lot more with that. And the water's warm enough that you can actually get in, kind of get some different angles and stuff.
Oh, there you
But these guys were so close. I literally, if I got in the water, I'd literally be on top of them. So
go.
I had to be on the shore to, get some kind of shot. So
That's a good problem to have when you have to zoom.
yeah, for sure.
You have to zoom out or zoom in
Uh,
rather. Yeah,
yeah.
too close. Minimum
Uh,
focusing distance and all that.
yeah.
That's
And
cool.
it's just, it's fun. I think this is the first time I had like traveled since the pandemic started. So it was kind of nice to get out of your local area for just a little bit and, kind of see some different species, different environments, uh, get kind of a different perspective. So
Hmm. Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, really like it.
thank you.
Yeah,
All right.
sure. Let's keep going here. So this next one, I'm pulling out all these older shots because I'm really kind of revisiting some older material and stuff. You just because a lot of those early, I guess, experiences with birds, especially the first encounters, happen to be the most exciting, I think, and memorable, and sometimes can produce the best shots as well for me. So this next one is a great egret. So this is a bird I really love to photograph. I haven't gotten many chances with it, simply because they're fairly common around here at local ponds and marshes and everything, along those lines. But this bird is just it's about the size of a great blue heron. I think might be slightly smaller, but the thing that sets it apart from those is that it has the all white plumage, so it sticks out very easily. I think is even from far away. So this is about, I think, 3 years ago. I went to a local rock quarry near where I live, and there's these several bodies of water that are kind of situated with cattails and stuff, and just open, kind of fairly shallow bodies of water. Like you could splash and wade through them if you wanted to. I never have, honestly, but people fish out of them even. And I was there just this one morning, just by myself, super quiet morning. No one else is around. Got there before sunrise, and I'm just saw this one egret just hanging out with me at this whole entire rock quarry. It was the coolest thing. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a shot of this guy. And the shot I'm looking at right now, it looks like it's dancing, but it's just kind of like bouncing up and down and floating off the water and just kind of like flapping its wings once and kind of hopping around. It looked like it was putting on a show for me. It was pretty crazy to look back on now. And it's a lesser common bird, I think, around these parts. At least in this rock quarry, I've never seen one before since then. So it's pretty cool to just get this one species there in particular. And yeah, I back then I was a little more foolish, so I was kind of like just not chasing it, but following it very intently, and it kept flying to the other side of the water, going back and forth and all that stuff, and it was kind of hilarious, just thinking that I'd just keep running after it basically. But yeah, I got lots of great shots of it flying around and stuff. And it was just a great morning out to kind of have this one-to-one session with this bird. It's a pretty cool moment, I think.
Yeah, I think what really makes this photo great, or one of the many things, is the contrast. That kind of rocky quarry environments, just kind of muted colors, and then the like amazing white bird. I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And you can
it's just,
tell. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, it's just really kind of different from the environment you'd expect to see something like that in.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're right. You're definitely right. And I think this was late September, if I recall, or mid to late September. So yeah, it was still pretty green. The greenery, like rock quarries, actually get a lot of like greenery and leaves, of course. So they do get kind of this fuller color, and they're not just some dull gray or tan. But yeah, this time of year was great. It was an overcast day, as you can probably tell. So I had no problems at all exposing for that bright white, plumage and everything and feathers on the bird. But yeah, it was just a really cool moment to see, as you can see in the shot, Henry, the distance in between that background and the bird. So it kind of just separated that and made more, not compression, but it showed more, I guess, depth. Is the word I'm looking for. But yeah, it was just a really cool moment just to see this bird just kind of hanging out. It would fish every now and then. I didn't get much shots of it fishing that were really salvageable, but it was just pretty cool to see it flying around and just doing its thing, day to day life. It was pretty neat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great photo.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank you.
and is that? It seems like you captured some motion. Is that it taking off or landing?
Um, like I said, I think this one in particular was when it was doing like it landed, I think, in the water, just right in the middle of it. Sometimes it'd be on the edge of these ponds. But I think in this case, it was like doing this, I don't know how to describe it. It was like a bouncing motion, and it was kind of like floating its wings, and it was just kind of like an up and down, like I don't know what you call it, like a little up and down kind of motion, if that makes sense. Kind of bouncing, I guess. So this is literally capturing that instance, as you said with the blur, especially in those lakes, because it was literally just kind of just bouncing up and down, and I was kind of panning with it. Yeah,
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it was neat. It's a neat moment. So, and
Mhm.
probably some of the best shots still. It's not like a perfect shot by any means, but like the moment itself alone. And I haven't had really any of the best moments with this bird, just because they can be really. I find with herons and bitterns and egrets, they're very alert birds to your presence. They have good eyesight and they can always pick up where you are and fly away pretty quickly. So it's
Yeah.
hard to get a good shot of most of them
Mhm.
unless if they're
And
very domesticated.
you probably were about as far as you could go, like distance wise. Like
Mhm.
you probably couldn't get any closer because of the water. So
Right. Yeah, I didn't get in the water that day.
Mhm.
And this was I'm more than likely shot at 600 mil, so about as far as I could go. And I might have cropped a little bit if I recall, but yeah, it's about as close as I got, which is still really close. I got some great looks at it, so can't complain.
yeah, excellent
Yeah.
work.
Well, thank you. That's all I had to say about that one. Great
All
bird.
right.
I love it.
Okay. So this story is not a success story of birding, but it is a funny one. I'll say that. So, this actually happened, let's see, I think about a month ago. So I was going to this hill that's near my house. It's like it's got hiking trails on it, but it's primarily for mountain biking. And on that day, I don't know what I was thinking, but I decided I'm going to not bring my camera bag. I'm just gonna carry my wildlife lens, and not wear proper footwear. And just wear tennis shoes.
Oh no.
What I was thinking, I was just feeling lazy and just wanted to drive and just look for some birds and not put in the work. So I made it up the hill. I think I got a couple of photos. I got like a cardinal from far away. Nothing too great. I got a dove, which was decent. And then I fell. It was very muddy because it was a mountain biking trail, so there
Oh
were
no.
constantly. There weren't any bikers when I was hiking, which was good. But the wheels kind of constantly turn up the ground and just
Yeah.
make it really just moist and easy to fall on.
Yeah.
So I fell the first time so I had my wildlife lens in hands. Like I didn't even bring a camera strap. I don't know what I was thinking. Didn't even bring a camera strap. So I fell. First time, so I ended up falling two times, but the first time I fell, I I just kind of landed. I think I landed like on my stomach actually somehow, and then my lens just kind of rolled a little bit on the ground and got covered in mud, which I got scared, but I realized it was fine because I have like a lens coat for my wildlife lens, so that took all the mud, didn't get in the lens or anything, and my camera's good with that, so. Uh, my L bracket, so I had an L bracket on my lens, or not on my lens, on my camera. Uh, that's got like filled with mud, so like all the crevices were like caked in. That took quite. I had to deconstruct it when I got home.
Give it a thorough clean.
But yeah, I continued on my hike. I'm just gonna call this the cursed birding trip because I saw this nice hawk. It literally was sitting there for 5 minutes for me, or not 5 minutes, like 2 minutes for me to get nice shots. My camera wouldn't focus. Didn't know why. I thought it was because of the fall, but then I did a test and realized it wasn't that. It was just user error, I guess. So then I started walking back. I fell again. This time it was a lot worse. So I fell on my back.
Uh,
My lens literally goes flying like 5 feet in the air. It flies across the trail, like literally flies. So I have a handle on the side of my camera or the side of my lens that I added there. It's like it is an L bracket, but it's like more designed for like wildlife lenses.
mhm.
Um, so I was lucky. It went 5 feet in the air, but it bounced off the L bracket, so there was no damage to the lens. So it literally took all the impact, which was good. So my lens was not hurt at all. It didn't get any mud on it, nothing. It just hit the L bracket and perfectly landed. But it was terrifying. Like it flew. Like I completely like threw it basically when I fell. It was crazy. So Yeah, no damage whatsoever. And this is not like a weather sealed lens. This is also not like a complete, really sturdy lens, because it's more of a budget option. But it survived, and no scratches, nothing. Uh, yeah. So it was just kind of a cursed day, but also kind of a blessing too that I didn't break anything. I did end up my leg ended up bleeding quite a bit. I didn't notice that till I got home, which was not good. But uh, one more thing on the way back, I
You
saw
got a
this
flat
huge
tire.
hawk, or
Oh,
no, it wasn't a hawk, a huge owl, like a massive owl. Um, Probably the biggest one I'd ever seen. But guess what? My camera wouldn't focus yet again. I literally like ran down a hill to get to this owl, and it wouldn't focus. So yeah, that
wow.
was the cursed birding event.
And then you got home,
Mhm.
and your parents sold the house, and
Yeah,
I
my
know.
house had burned down by the time I
Oh
got
my
home.
gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so. I gotta ask, was it? Do you think it was the diopter on your camera that was making it look like it was out of focus?
Um, no, it's just my tracking autofocus honestly sucks
Oh, okay,
sometimes. Yeah.
that's one of those things. Maybe
I
to
should
like,
have been using I should have been using single point, but I don't know why I was doing tracking, but
like the intelligent, as they say, autofocus.
uh
Yeah,
it works when
yeah,
it works,
yeah,
it
it
works
works.
amazingly,
Oh,
but
definitely. Yeah,
when it doesn't work at all. So,
I think the newest camera bodies are great about that. Mine's kind of iffier. Like I've tried those 45 point autofocus things and it modes, and it's just
mhm.
I like the single point. I like to control that composition and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, man. Have you ever had it like the lens face down in the mud, like lens glass down? It's terrible.
Like
It's
in the ground or something?
yeah, yeah, like in the mud or whatever. It's terrible.
No,
Yeah,
thank goodness.
that's what
No.
I was,
Have you?
I went probably like at least gotten mud on it, but I don't think it was face down, or maybe I had like a lens hood on. But yeah, it's not fun. But those mountain bike trails and horse trails are just like the worst. When
Uh-huh.
if it's raining and wet, I've done it. I've done hiking and stuff on those kind of trails. When it's wet, it's just a slodge through everything, man. It's a nightmare,
Mm.
messy as heck. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually went back to that trail a couple days later, with proper gear and footwear, and I actually used my tripod as like a walking stick
That's
because
great.
I didn't want anything else to happen. So
Redemption.
yeah,
Did you get any good shots then?
yeah, I think so. I think I got like a I don't know what it's called, tufted titmouse maybe. Yeah, I think I got a
Probably.
tufted titmouse. Yeah,
There you go. Good deal.
uh,
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah.
That's a funny story. I'm sorry. That was
But
just
yeah,
hilarious.
I'm so lucky I had that handle on the camera, like that L bracket took all the damage for it.
Oh
Because
yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't believe it unless you saw it. Like it went flying. Like my camera, like it was like a rocket. It probably went 5 feet across the trail
Oh
when I
geez.
fell. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
crazy.
got to keep a firm grip on
Hmm.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was the day
So
Henry
now
bought a
I'm
camera
in.
strap.
Yeah, I mean, I had one. I don't know why I didn't bring it,
Oh,
but I'm instating that
dude,
policy now to have a camera strap at all times when I'm mobile.
I'm laughing at only the situation and not like you, but like it's just that it's funny because I there's so many times where I would just go out spur of the moment and I'd have on like the worst clothes for it. I'd have like you said like no camera strap for whatever the situation was, and just because I wanted to get out, I was just so excited for some reason. It doesn't have to be birds, but just any photography. But yeah, I just like go out and I'm like, why am I dressed like this?
Uh,
Like I've gone out in like dress clothes to like a prairie just to like photograph birds and stuff. And I'm like, why am I like dressed like I'm going to like church or something?
yeah,
Like just because I
I
had it
find
like with me. I don't know. It's weird. I found
yeah,
myself in weird situations.
I find the times when I'm like wearing like my waterproof like hiking shoes are the times I actually don't need them. When
Oh
I end
man.
up wearing tennis shoes, I'm usually in the mud or in the swamp or something.
Oh man, too many. I agree so much. Too many times. It's terrible. I
Yeah.
question why we even bother. Yeah, like I have waterproof boots on. I'm like, oh, I can wade through this shallow creek. Nah, I won't. But then like the other times where I'm like, man, I really wish I was in the middle of that, but I have tennis shoes on. It's like it's terrible. I don't understand why we do this to ourselves.
To get amazing images.
And that's what we're all about here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great, man. Yeah, that's just a funny story, I think. It's hilarious.
You know what? I'd love to like hire an animator on Fiverr or something and have them like animate that.
Animate it,
It could,
dude.
it could be cool.
On the way back, I fell again. Just, oh man, I can imagine that'd be hilarious. Honestly,
Uh-huh.
uh,
All right. So what's your next story?
dude, I don't even know if I could top that one. That was pretty funny. Mine are so dramatic and serious. I don't know if I have any like really funny ones off the top of my head. I mean, the next one's kind of like, at least from the photo itself, kind of comical. I think it was about a year or two ago. I was with a buddy of mine. We went to a local kind of combined kind of woodland and lake, like a pretty decent sized fishing lake. At least fishing's pretty popular there. And there's this tufted titmouse in like the brush and everything. It was late fall, so like as you can tell in the image, it's like there's lots of decay and stuff. Really kind of gray brown kind of colors, lots of dull colors. And it was like the split second, I'm just like full auto, high continuous mode on my camera. So I'm just kind of pressing that shutter at this little songbird that's just perched, really quite literally like a couple feet in front of me. It was really close. I think I actually took the shot of probably around 5 or 400 millimeters, and it was just really close up. But the hilarious thing is, in that barrage of shots, this was the one that stuck out to me when I was looking over the computer, and he quite literally looks like it's doing the splits. It's like the hilarious, just like pose for the bird, I guess. It's almost comical, I think, as it just kind of clings onto these far-reaching just twigs or brush around it, as it just kind of looks off to the side, I guess, the right side in this image. But yeah, it was great. Nothing really like dramatic with the story, but like just the image itself was quite expressive, I guess, quite humorous, I think, and just it stuck out to me in my portfolio, and it has since for songbirds like this.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great shot too.
Yeah, thank you. That's about it for that. But yeah, and just having in the middle of the frame kind of worked out. I've even taken like a 1-to-1 crop, which I feel like just kind of brings it in closer to the attention on the bird subject. But yeah, it's just a really funny kind of looking shot to me, and it's still one of my favorites for that reason.
Yeah, trying to capture a bird's natural behavior is really, it may not be as like engaging as like a direct like portrait, but a nice kind of behavior shot is pretty cool.
Right. Yeah. It's like it probably. Yeah. I don't know how you describe it. It's just expressive. It's just kind of.
Mhm.
It's different. It's not just like sitting there flat, like plainly, like perched on a tree branch. It's like kind of. It has this posing that's kind of. I don't want to say awkward, but it's just like unique, I guess. It's not something you
Mhm.
see every day, I think. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
it really worked out. It was really cool, and I did
Cool.
not fall in the mud for it. If only that make the story kind of funny, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't want that to happen.
Oh no. To the best of us.
When you get mud on your camera, it's just the worst feeling.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. And if you let it dry too, and you just need to like, yeah, you're right. It just gets like caked up and
Yeah.
stuff. It's terrible.
I remember on the photography birding trip of death, mud got stuck in like the lens, not lens, the camera strap holes, like the indentations.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Mud got like caked into there. It was disgusting, and it got into my viewfinder as well. It was very interesting. But
I think for the longest time, I think in my binoculars actually, because those go through like a lot more than a camera would. So it got like mud stuck in these like weirdest little cracks and crevices, and it would just like stay there for months. Like, I'm pretty sure I waited like over a year until I actually like cleaned it off fully.
wow, yeah. Even worse than mud sometimes can be sand. I'll still find sand in crevices of my old tripod that I used in the summer. Like there's still sand in there. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I always make sure after a rain, just to like extend all the legs and just wipe them all off because yeah, sand and stuff is
Yes,
just
definitely.
trapped in this terribly.
Oh yeah, if you get moisture trapped in there, it's not good. Not good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I find even if you wait like a week after a heavy rainfall, and if you have your tripod legs collapse, you ever like spread them out again and extend them, and it's like the water's just still in there. It's like the weirdest thing.
Yeah, and it's even grosser water too.
Yeah, it's just like weird because it's almost it gets like slimy and stuff. And I'm like, this is no
Uh-huh.
fun. Like, yeah, just take care of your gear, everyone. I mean,
Yep.
we go on the elements like this, and we need to take care of it.
And obviously, you will drop your camera or lens at some point. There's no avoiding it.
Oh yeah.
Even I was dumb when I dropped mine, but I've dropped mine before when I was taking all the necessary precautions. It'll happen. You just need to have good cleaning supplies, and just need to know how to take care of it when that stuff happens.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I dropped 2 cameras in a year, and look how I'm doing. I mean, like,
Mm-hmm.
you can survive. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, and it's worth it for shots like this. I think the camera.
Oh yeah,
I'm getting deep here, but like the camera is just a tool to take these great shots.
Yep.
And it's
Yeah, once you're, you can get caught up in the camera when you're at home or something, but once you get out in the field and you see these birds, you really don't care what you're shooting with. It's just
exactly, yeah. It's meant to be a tool, and you're just to get the shot, and
hmm
it can get bang. I mean, I take care of my gear as much as I can, of course, but like naturally, it's just things can happen to it, failure, just stupidity, or just anything otherwise. So the elements, but yeah.
hmm Yeah, I used to kind of idolize my gear. I used to not keep it in my bag and kind of put it up on a shelf and have to repack it every time. But a couple months ago, I realized it was just more practical to just keep it in the bag and have it ready to go. So
Yeah, I mean, either ways, I'm like that. I've always pretty much been like that, where I just kind of have it out of, or excuse me, in the bag and just everything ready. But like, if you're like carefully packing things, it's kind of, I feel like it'd be kind of important to have it all laid out and just take what you
yeah,
need. Because I just have the same crap in my bag, and I just kind of pick it up when I'm ready for whatever day trip.
I need to stop bringing my wildlife lens with me everywhere, especially when I know I'm not doing land or not doing wildlife. It's just extra weight that I don't need to bring with me.
You say that on the bird episode. I love it.
Yeah, and vice versa too. I don't need to bring
Oh
my
yeah,
wide angle when I'm out doing wildlife. So
on occasion I'll be out doing a bird shot or a bird trip rather, and I'm like, oh, it's amazing sunset. I wish I could get like a landscape shot or something. But then I go like, but wait, I can just use the light to make a beautiful bird shot or something like that. So it works both ways.
I mean,
Yeah.
I have a pretty good suggestion. A couple months ago, I bought a backup lens. It was literally $30 used. It's an old kit lens. It's a Canon 28 to 80. It's not sharp. It's not that sharp, but it can take sharp pictures. It doesn't let in a lot of light, but for landscapes, it doesn't really matter. And it's very small. So I sometimes bring that on wildlife only excursions. I can just throw it on
Hmm.
and get some wide angles if I need to.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, on occasion, a time or two, I put on teleconverters, or I have one single teleconverter. And if I'm just like at a community park where I really don't want to like attract too much attention with a big old, lens scope,
hmm
bazooka lens
Oh
or
yeah.
whatever, yeah, I'll just
hmm
like slap that teleconverter onto a 75 to 300 or something that's like a much more portable zoom. And I'll just like have it, strapped on me and just carry it around. And it gets you that zoom factor, but like it's a lower profile, which can help.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you can get good shots with those, especially with bigger birds. Or I know this isn't a wildlife episode, but deer, you can get great shots with
Oh, definitely.
fairly small focal lengths.
Yeah, I mean, you lose like a stop or two of light, I believe, with teleconverters, at least most of them, but like, and you lose some sharpness, I believe. But it's just like, other than
Mhm.
that, the trade offs are if you have plentiful light, have at it. And don't shoot too wide because then it might get too soft, depending on your lens choice, of course.
Yeah.
But,
Well, um, I think that's pretty much it for my stories. Do you have anything else?
oh, I could go on forever. I mean, there's plenty. Every bird, I feel like bird shot can bring its own story. A lot of them, at least, But yeah, there's so many. But save this for a rainy day, I guess.
Yeah, we could definitely do a part two sometime.
That'd be fun.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm going to if COVID's better, I'm going to South Carolina in April, I think. So
Oh, cool.
maybe I'll have some stories from there. My goal is to
Fine.
get some of those osprey,
Yes.
more types of heron, maybe even an alligator. They have a ton of alligators, so I'd
Ooh,
love to get an alligator shot.
not a bird.
I know, but it's close enough.
I had to say it, yeah. Or harlequin ducks if you're out by the coast.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's on the ocean, so
Yeah, there
yeah,
you go. Right on.
hmm
That'd be a
yeah,
cool one to find. Hmm.
yeah. So maybe we'll do an episode towards the summer or something. That'll be fun.
Yeah, birds you travel to see or something.
hmm
Hmm.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, do you have any announcements?
Um, Not too much, just more videos, but that's about it.
Nice, nice.
Keeping on top of that. How about you?
I watched your latest on location video. It's nice.
Oh, really? Which one?
The one with the tree. I think you just released it. I watched it
Oh,
earlier
yeah,
today.
as of today. Yeah, I did. Yep. Well, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, that was a
Make
good one.
sure
That was
to
good.
check it out, guys.
You got his recommendation. Yeah, no, it was a good one out. Good morning out with the snow and everything. Really frigid temperatures, but it's just fun to try out landscapes for change of pace because I've been doing so much birds lately, anyways.
Yeah. I don't really have any announcements. My 1635 f4 arrived. I'm just gonna say I've never seen like this kind of sharpness from a lens before. Like it's really high quality, and I'm really happy I got it. It's so expect some wide angles, nice foregrounds, nice nice backgrounds. So yeah.
What you should do is get some like those. You've seen those bird landscape shots? They're kind of
Oh yeah.
photojournalistic. Yeah, you should get like something really wide like that. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's like the Nat
right.
Geo style.
Oh, I'd love to photograph for Nat Geo. Hire me right now.
Oh no. That's great. All right. Well, yeah. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Yeah, thank you guys for watching.
Yep. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching the Owl Outdoors Photography Podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and the video version on YouTube as well. You can subscribe down below, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thank you.